Blaze the Nation, time to save the date. Our sponsoring partner, the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, is hosting their 10th anniversary gala on Thursday, October 18th in New York City. Join CBMA as they celebrate this 10th anniversary and to commemorate a decade of growth and impact, both for the organization and the broader Black male achievement movement. Funds that are raised from this gala are going to be used to further expand upon the mission to build beloved communities for Black men and boys, really by investing in leaders and organizations that are improving life outcomes for Black males across the nation. To learn more about becoming a sponsor or to purchase tickets, I want you to hop on over right now to blackmaleachievement.org. blackmaleachievement.org.
You're listening to the Trailblazers podcast, where we will explore the stories of successful Black professionals. Join us as we highlight the knowledge, resources, and tools of these accomplished trailblazers to help provide the know-how, confidence, and motivation you need to blaze your trail. And now, here's your host, Stephen Hart.
Hi, Trailblazers. This is Minda Harts. I'm so happy to be with you. I was on many episodes ago, and I'm so happy that my brother Stephen Hart has passed the torch to me for today. I will cherish this moment and honor my time with you. So I want to talk to you about the rest of this year. We have 6 months left to figure out what the rest of this year is going to look like for us. You don't have to figure that out all at this moment, but you got to start thinking about it. I know many of us started vision boarding earlier this year. I know I did. Years ago, I wasn't really big on vision boards, but I do believe you have to set your intention. So whether you call it a vision board or you call it something else, or you make a list of the top 5 things you want to get done this year, we have to set our intention. And I want to talk to you about how far are you willing to go to get those goals accomplished. Now, we have to manage our expectations too. If you have a laundry list of about 20 things that you want to accomplish by the end of the year, I believe in you. I want you to win. But sometimes we have to realistically look at, okay, it's July. What can I do to knock off a couple of those things? And I want to talk to you about a couple of things. I want to plant a couple of seeds as you're thinking about what you want the end of the year to look like for you. Are you going to allow circumstances to write your narrative? Or are you going to take it by the reins and write the story the way you see fit? So think of it this way. What are some of the roadblocks that stop us from getting to our desired state? Oftentimes it's fear. Fear can be a very crippling thing, and it's a state that many of us don't need to be living in because it just stops us from getting to our stated goals. And so when you think about what are those things that you want to accomplish and how far you're willing to go, your curiosity has to be bigger than your fears. I'll say it again one more time. Your curiosity has to be bigger than your fears. If your fears are bigger than your curiosity, then you know who's going to win? Fear every time. So that curiosity inside of you that's burning to find out what would happen if I did X, Y, and Z, you owe it to yourself to follow that curiosity. And I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, I guess it was about 2 years ago, I was on The Guardian. They have a podcast, and I was on there talking about my company, the Memo, a career development platform that helps women of color advance in the workplace. And I had a great interview with the host, and it was the very first podcast I had ever done. I mean, the very first podcast I'd ever been a guest on, and it's The Guardian. I was scared beyond belief, but my curiosity trumped that. And I did the interview. It was fine. When I go back and listen to it, I can hear how nervous I was and my nerves, but I had to do it. My curiosity was bigger than my fear. And in that moment, after the interview, the host says, "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" And I said, "No, not really, And he said, "Well, if you ever want to write a book, I just got done doing a couple cookbooks. I have a good editor that I'd love to put you in touch with." And I won't go into the whole story about it, but right now, I am finishing up the first draft of my manuscript. In December 2017, I got a book deal and I closed it with Hachette Book Group. And I have a book coming out spring 2019. And that moment triggered all these other things that got me to this point. Now, if I would have been scared of speaking on the Guardian podcast, I don't know that I'd be finishing up the first draft of my manuscript to send to my editor. So I implore you to let your curiosity be larger than your fear. The second thing I want you to think about is letting go of the past. Sometimes we can't get to our end state because we're too focused on our past. And for me, I know that, I grew up with a lot of financial struggles. And for a long time, I let a lot of those things stifle me and suffocate me. I worked myself to the bone because I never wanted to be in a financial crisis like we did growing up. And it really paralyzed me in a lot of different ways. And success, quote unquote, success is one of those things that a lot of us are just like working so hard to try and get to. And sometimes it can be a little detrimental to our health. And there was a lot of things that I was holding on to that prevented me from moving forward. And so I want to put it in a different way to allow you to see from a different perspective. So the more I thought about my past, I started to think there's parts of my past that fuels me. So not all of it was bad. Some of those moments in time fueled me to get me to the point that I'm here. And I appreciate those moments and lessons learned. But there's a part of my past that suffocates me. And in order to let go and move on to where I am supposed to be to meet my destiny, I have to let go of the part of my past that suffocates me. I can no longer let it hold me in its grip. So I would encourage you, as you think about the next 6 months, take a look at your life. Let go of the past that suffocates you and hold on to the past that fuels you. And let that be that mission fuel, as Stephen always says, to catapult you forward. That's important. And lastly, I want to leave you with another thought. I want to see you win. I want to see you set yourself up these next 6 months so that if by chance you don't knock down all the pins that you wanted to this year, you set yourself up for the next year and you keep striving toward that goal. Don't leave anything on the table for the next life. You and I were placed here to rock it out, and we have to make it do what it do. And so the last thing that I want to leave you with is sometimes we have to break things up in life to let it breathe. And I grew up in church, so sometimes you got to say things twice so it sinks in. So I'll say it one more time. Sometimes you have to break things up in your life so they can breathe. Again, sometimes we're working so hard that we don't even give ourselves a minute to think. And sometimes things have to blow up. We have to fail in order for our minds to breathe, in order for life to breathe. And so if you're experiencing any type of setback right now, or you're feeling like everything is just gone to fire right now, that's okay. Sometimes things have to break up so you can breathe. Take a deep breath and say, you know what? I'm okay with that because now I get to rebuild. And sometimes we do have to shake things up and break them up so we can breathe. Okay, that didn't work. We broke that apart. I'm going to take a deep breath and now I'm going to move on. And that ties into not letting things suffocate you and letting your curiosity be bigger than your fear. So Trailblazers, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to speak life into you. I'm rooting for you. Make sure that you have your plans for success. Ask yourself, what am I willing to do? How far will I go? And there's a song that's out right now by Drake, and he says that I thank God that God's working harder than Satan. And I know that everybody doesn't believe in those type of religious aspects, but be thankful that somebody is working on your behalf for you, and that the things of this world are not overtaking you so that you don't have to experience so much pain and heartache. So sometimes in the midst of when we're breaking things up and allowing ourselves to breathe, as Stephen always says, we have to think about the things we're grateful for and that part of gratitude. And so be thankful, be grateful, and find me on the internet. I am most active on Twitter at Minda Harts. I want to know how far you're willing to go, and let me know about what you think about some of the things that I said. Have a great week.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Trailblazers podcast. I'll be posting links to all of today's book recommendations and links mentioned on our show notes page at tbpod.com. If today was your first time listening to the Trailblazers podcast, I just want to extend a warm Trailblazers welcome to you. We're so happy to have you here, and we encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button in your favorite podcast app. Go ahead and browse through some of our past episodes to keep the knowledge flowing. If you're a fan of the podcast and today's content, and you're maybe already subscribed to the podcast, please continue to share and invite your friends, your family, your colleagues to listen to an episode that you think might impact them most. We believe that someone listening to these inspiring stories will be moved to make significant changes that will have generational impact for many others, both now and well into the future. Don't miss next week's episode. New episodes are released each and every Monday by about 5 a.m. Eastern. Trailblazers, jump off this podcast today. Go find a way to rise above, go way beyond, and keep blazing your trail. Cheers.